look, look. Welcome. Look, welcome back. Um, Thanks for the support on my last video. Got like 13 views. I expected it. It's politics or whatever. And but I got a subscriber from it. So whoever it was, I appreciate you. Um, I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy the content and you watch this video, even though it's talking about anime. You know, and uh today we're here to talk about JJK, and this is a reaction video to Jaded. There's my name again. My God, this is a reaction video to Jaded, and I love JJK. I love it. I think it's goated, and I feel like the fan base kind of eats itself alive. I feel like they just want stuff to be the way they want it, and so they just get, they don't let Gege eat, and Gege has been eaten. And now it's not perfect. It's not perfect, obviously, but I think the criticism is valid. But you over whooping. If you ever seen FBJ, man, you over whooping. And when I say over whooping, I mean you just doing too much. It's not that serious. Like, it makes sense, okay? It makes sense. You might not like it, but it makes sense, okay? And if you don't think, and if you don't think this makes sense, then then the other, then I don't know. Like, some of y'all just can't read. And I know it's just, when I say you can't read, what I'm saying is you just don't like what's happening. And that's your problem, is you don't like what's happening. So even if it could make sense or whatever, you don't like it. And that's why it's a problem, okay? So let's react to this video.
If you wanted some
again, before I dude, this isn't a hate or nothing, I'm not hating, I'm not hating at all. I only watch people that I think give good opinions for the most part. I don't watch people who are, so I watch Jaded. I enjoy his content. So don't, what I'm saying, if he sees it, or I'm not hating if it sounds, what I'm saying, it's not that, okay?
depth analysis on why I don't like the series, you can suck it, and maybe I'll make one in the future, I don't know. This video is probably going to be a rant. I'm not even really going to ask y'all to sub for this one, because if you like it, then leave a like, and if you don't, I guess leave. I don't really know what to tell you. If it wasn't already apparent by my lack of uploads in the last month, I'm at a point where I'm really done and don't really have a lot of patience for this series. No, I'm not going to stop doing JJK content just because I don't like current JJK. Overall, it's still a great series and definitely one of my favorites.
But he did in the beginning, he said he hadn't been uploading. So
I just don't like current JJK. Now, the obvious question is, what exactly do I consider current JJK? And breaking down what would be current JJK is obviously up for interpretation. For me personally, the thing that had me running to my mic to go record this video was the whole thing with Yuta lately. I really don't like it. You know, the whole thing where he takes over Gojo's body using Kenjaku's curse technique to become the monster that everybody needed in the place of Satoru Gojo. Yeah, that whole thing, I just don't like it. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely wasn't a hater from the jump, and I actually supported this whole Yuta and Gojo's body thing because I thought it was going to be pretty good. I know a lot of people who pretty much from the start, when they heard that it was Yuta with the stitches over Gojo's head and not actually Kenjaku like many theorized in the past, they were just immediately disappointed, and they were quick to call—
why? Now let's think about this. This is one thing where, I don't know if I don't think Jaded feels this way, but if you felt this way, you're dumb. You're contributing to the problem that you already. So people are sick of Sukuna running the gambit and just beating everybody and surviving everything. And you want to give him Kenjaku and Gojo's body? That's what you want to give him. That's what y'all want. That's what y'all wanted. That's going to make the fight more fair and more even. That's what y'all wanted. That don't even make sense. Imagine if Kenjaku came in and came in Gojo's body. Just imagine that. Imagine how much of a better situation Sukuna would be in. Because if you compare Kenjaku and Yuta, Kenjaku uses his curse technique better than Yuta does. So if he would have gotten Gojo's body, he would have been better in Gojo's body. Now, he still would have been the same or whatever, because you got to get used to it and stuff. You got to look at the memories. But he would have, I don't even know how that even is that's a worse situation than Yuta getting it, because it just makes a person who already seems unbeatable even more unbeatable. Okay? So, this is what I'm talking about. The fan base, it's really week to week. Like when you read week to week, reading week to week is painful. It really is. It can be very painful. And, you know, we're going to read this straight through when it's done. It's going to be goated. Like, I don't think people understand that. But, you know, it's a moment.
All this a missed opportunity by Gege. Now for me, it was the opposite. I thought this was going to be really hype. We got Pseudo Gojo coming back, and then on top of that, Yuta gets that little mindset shift that we've kind of been foreshadowed to pretty much since the end of Sendai Colony. I was pretty happy, ecstatic even. Yuta was going to be the monster that everybody needed in the place of Gojo. It's like a win-win. I get a cooler version of Yuta, and then on top of that, I get to see Gojo fighting in whatever form. Bro, I will take that. Yuta definitely always needed a mindset shift, but more specifically, he needed a shift in his mindset that would allow him to do what was necessary in order to actually win. Now, when I say win, I don't just mean like knockout or anything like that, or winning by subduing your opponent, or just barely being able to complete the task in front of you, because completing the mission is not what it's about. I mean more being able to push yourself, and if need may be, beyond what you're currently capable of in order to grow in power. That's what I mean by winning. If you're confused on where exactly it says that, how about you try opening your eyes and reading the panel? Nah, bro, I'm just playing. Oro explained the whole thing to Yuta about how he's closely reaching his limit of power, and the only way to transcend merely being strong, as in the only way to really grow from where he's at right now, is to have an overwhelming self and a complete disregard for others around you. Now take that idea that Oro brought up at face value, that to transcend your current place in the power system, to really grow from where you're at, it's gonna take an overwhelming sense of self and a complete disregard for others. We're not gonna sit here and pretend like that's a foreign concept. We've heard about that 50 chapters ago, 100 chapters ago, and even 150 chapters ago. If you go back to chapter 58, right after Megami got knocked by the finger bear, you're gonna find that he's trying to adapt this same mindset that Oro's talking about, except Megami is learning from a previous conversation that he had with Gojo that touched on a very similar topic. Basically, the TDLR on what Gojo's saying is that Megami for too long has been too focused on trying to complete the mission, when the real goal is trying to become as strong as possible. Megami using Mahoraga is a perfect example, because using Mahoraga basically means that Megami won't have a future and therefore won't be able to get any stronger than the point that he's at. He'll complete the mission, but it's a different type of winning. So there's winning by dying, and then there's winning even if you die. And one of these is exactly the mindset shift that Yuta's gonna have to have. Winning by dying basically means that you're gonna be willing to give up your own life if it comes down to it in the name of victory. Now this isn't inherently bad by any means, but it's a bad idea if you're trying to become a strong sorcerer. Alright, let's say that you actually do end up cooking yourself, right? You give up your own life in the name of completing the mission. Yes, at the end of the day, the mission is gonna be a success, but you're also gonna diminish any possible future that you're gonna have of being stronger than the previous version of yourself. What Gojo and Oro are getting at is that there's certain things that you're gonna have to do that might be selfish or even completely disregard others, but it's the only way to move on from your current limitations and transcend merely being strong in the point that you're at in the power system. Again, this isn't some foreign concept that just appeared when Yuta tried to take over Gojo's body. The idea of disregarding others or doing things that could be perceived as selfish and monstrous in the name of surpassing your previous limitations has been a consistent theme within JJK. Now here's the whole problem with Yuta, and that why this instance of using this theme actually came out to be really bad in my opinion compared to others in the series. There's a lack of what I'm calling fulfillment, at least on my part. I don't feel fulfilled watching this. When Gojo ended up getting cooked, fried, and stabbed in the neck by Toji, in that moment, Gojo focused every fiber of his body to create the reverse curse technique. With one goal in mind being to survive, Gojo walked away when focusing on himself, not really caring about others around him at all. Riko, for example, he didn't really care about what happened to her, to be frank. He wasn't feeling vengeful towards Toji. Moment, he's not really moved and doesn't really seem to be caring about anybody but himself and his current goals, and doing what he says just feels right. If you're not already understanding, let me help you put these points together, right? Gojo focuses on himself, but more specifically in a way to survive and then go on to win, and completely disregards his feelings for others and isn't really concerned with anybody but himself in this current moment, and is just doing what feels right, and that's when he becomes the honored one. And if you're still not convinced that this moment is Gojo relishing in his own sense of self very similarly to what Oro's talking about, then let's take a look at what Gege Akutami actually said about this moment. He said that this moment is Gojo relishing in his own sense. It seems to have various connotations. All, not because he was feeling any type of revenge or really feeling any way towards Riko, that he would be perfectly okay with exercising an entire religious group of non-sorcerers. Please don't start making the argument that in this moment, Gojo is feeling some type of way of revenge against these random religious group members who have nothing to do with the world of Jujutsu really emotive. Megumi, for example, tapping into a very light version of that ideology. Megumi walked away after not only beating the Finger Bear, but now with his own domain expansion. He walked away in a very fulfilled manner for going through that very hard mindset shift. Here, we could take Maki as another example. Maki ended up letting herself become captive by focusing too much on her opponents, curses, or maybe even other humans around her. What Mio was trying to get through to Maki is that if you want to understand what's inside the sumo ring or whatever, you gotta be able to really take in what's around you, and more specifically, what's outside the ring. You gotta be able to smell the light, he says. You have to be able to see the sound. And he says when that happens, the body right in front of your eyes no longer matters, and even winning or losing begins to lose meaning. You need to be able to feel free. You need to be able to do what makes you feel right, and by taking in the world around you. And it's very similar to what Gojo went through. Gojo flying in the air, being above Toji, it really gives that idea of freedom and the happiness that Gojo's feeling from feeling the world around him. Gojo is saying that right now, everything feels right. The air that he's flowing through, the sounds that he's hearing, things going on in the environment, to be more specific, to achieve a better version of themselves. Now, my problem with Yuta's version of trying to adapt that mindset compared to the other scenarios that I've already named, it's that again, it's just not fulfilling. Okay, Yuta wants to become more monstrous and become more like Gojo was, and even take his place as the monster that everybody needs to succeed at the end of the day. Okay, that's fine, but what does it amount to? When Megumi had his little mentality shift, the only thing that he walked away from is beating a Finger Bear and an incomplete domain expansion. You can make the argument that Megumi's might have been unfulfilled compared to the other scenarios that come later, but the thing is with Megumi, he didn't become as monstrous as anybody else, or at least he didn't really attempt to. For the little bit of monstrous that he became, I'm okay with the little bit of result he ended up receiving because he didn't really become that monstrous, or at least didn't try to become that monstrous. Yuta literally tried to become the next Satoru Gojo. He literally tried to become the monster that Gojo already was. Now, my problem isn't Yuta attempting to become a monster and then not succeeding, because I think that Yuta deserves to become the next monster. He did something very monstrous. That's your problem. He took his own sensei's body in the name of victory, even if he would only live just another 5 minutes. He definitely got stronger as a reward for being more monstrous by taking over Gojo's body, but the outcome didn't really amount to much, at least when it came to Yuta doing it with his own hands. He's landed a couple hits on Sukuna inside the Infinite Void, but then again, everybody's landed a couple hits on Sukuna at this point. I'm not all too impressed, and that better not be the reward for being this monstrous. He fires the purple, which does do—
Wait, but this is— really, you're just mad at the outcome. You're just mad. You're saying you're not mad at the outcome. You're mad at the outcome. You're mad that he didn't do more than he should have done. Okay? And that's really my problem with this. Like, you're comparing Yuta to the other people, and the other people who they fought wasn't the strongest person in the verse. Okay? It wasn't the literal strongest person in the verse. Like, Gojo's fighting Toji. Like, after awakening, he clears Toji. Like, Maki's fighting, like, the people they're fighting, they're comparable, okay? Yuta isn't comparable to Sukuna. Even in Gojo's body, he's not comparable. He's not comparable. He's not you know what I'm saying? Sukuna still clears him. So, for you to— now, maybe you could say it should have been executed better. Maybe he should have did more damage or whatever. But, like, you're just not happy with the outcome. And, I mean, even in my opinion, like, Sukuna, like I think it was to become the monster or whatever. But in my mind, what Yuta did was dumb. It was dumb. And I think it was opposite of that, being yourself. Because if you gotta take over somebody else's body and use somebody else's technique, and you don't even know if you're going to be alive in the next 5 minutes or whatever the time it is, like, you don't even know this. It's like Kashimo giving up his curse technique just to fight Sukuna. Like, he's not even his whole self. You feel what I'm saying? Like, Yuta isn't even doing what he's doing with his own body. So maybe he's doing something monstrous, maybe he's doing something dramatic, but that's not who Yuta is. Yuta isn't Gojo. So if he was to hop into Gojo's body, and it's a last ditch effort, it's basically like when Miwa, or however you say her name, with the sword, when she put all her might into doing that simple domain with the sword or Hinjaku, and it did no damage because she's fodder. And so her doing that was useless and pointless because, I mean, it wasn't a good bonding vow or whatever because her potential wasn't going to be enough it wasn't smart. Now, she might have been, you know what I'm saying? To me, that kind of feels like the same thing that Yuta did. Like what he did, it might have made sense, right? But in the sense that maybe that was his only option. But if Yuta would have stayed in his own body, he would have grew stronger from that. Okay? Now I feel like where the Gege messed it up is, I mean, he should have been able to use, I don't know how he can't use copy. I truly don't know. I guess it's because it's in Rika specifically, but I don't know why Rika doesn't. I guess Rika is just attached to that body, right? I feel like he should have been able to still use copy and stuff or whatever, like, or something, because I mean, he isn't even in his body. He doesn't have his own curse technique. So to think that he would do what Gojo did and become the chosen one, he's not even like, now he did something monstrous to win or whatever, but he doesn't even know if he's gonna die. Like he could just die. He could have just died when he fell over. He could have just died. And so you just don't like the result at the end of the day. You just don't like the result. You don't think he did enough. You don't think he did enough. But I mean, like, I don't know why people, like, I guess you just thought it was pointless because he didn't do enough. But like, I don't see how you feel that way. Like, it was good. It was good. Like, what do you expect? What do you expect? And it showed how much stronger Gojo actually was, because it showed that just having the eyes, the 6 eyes, is not all you need to just perfectly master the limitless, the limitless, yeah. Like, it actually made, like, it actually deepened Gojo's character development. Like, so you're just mad about the outcome at the end of the day. Like, we gotta remember that Yuta, nobody is beating Sukuna but Yuji. Nobody. So I don't know how much more damage you would have wanted. You don't want Sukuna to lose when he's on his last leg, do you? And this is even my thing with the last chapter, where people are like, a spoiler alert, where people are like, oh, Hana's thing, the thing should have destroyed Sukuna or whatever, right? What I don't understand is, like, y'all just hoping certain stuff happens. Like, sometimes y'all read with the letters in the chapter saying you agree with it, and sometimes you don't. Like, when Gojo said that Sukuna was just stronger than him, even without the 10 shadows, with no evidence, people just ran with that. They just ran with that. But when Gege says that her losing the arm and that it's not in a, oh my gosh, it's not in a, like, just think about it. Hana lost her arm. She's still weak from whatever. Okay, whatever. That does seem kind of weak. Like, oh, she lost her arm. She's still kind of weak. Okay, whatever. Now, when Yuta did whatever that move is called, Divine Judgment, I don't know what it's called. When he did the move, he was in a domain expansion. That's an increase of 120%. Now, I am sure Yuta is stronger than Hana. I am sure of it. 100% sure of it, right? So, we're talking 120%, a move only focused on Sukuna. It was focused on everybody. So we're saying 100% of the move was on Sukuna, and that was enhanced to 120%. Now, if it didn't affect Sukuna at all, that's not what it said. Because he didn't look like it did or whatever. Okay, maybe that was. But if Hana's stuff being weaker, it makes sense. But y'all just don't like the outcome of that. And even if it did, like, what do you want did you want it to, like, I don't know what you wanted it to do. Like, what did you want it to do? Did you want it to kill Sukuna? Because it wasn't going to do that. And then people are saying, like, they're mad because nothing happened, when right after he hit 2 black flashes. Okay, so if you hit 2 black flashes, then obviously you hit black flashes, and that gets you. That's the same thing that happened with Gojo. He hit the black flashes. Oh, Gojo's gonna win. right? And I mean, then he lost right after. But so I just don't get it. Like, y'all are just not happy with the outcome. Don't get mad at Gege because you're just not. But other times you're okay with the outcome. So whatever he says is okay. When he says Gojo, when Gojo says Sukuna is stronger than him without the 10 shadows, and there is no proof or evidence even to this day, to this chapter 264, there is zero evidence of that. Zero of in-series evidence that Sukuna would have beat Gojo without the 10 shadows. Zero. People still go with that, but they say Hana's weaker because of this and that. It's not focusing. Everybody's having a panic attack. Like, so I don't get it. And even with this, the red failed. The red failed. When Yuta fired the red, it failed. And then he fired a purple. Okay? So, like, he couldn't do red, he's gonna be able to do purple? I don't know what could make you happy. You might be tired of the Sukuna gauntlet. It's about to end. Just enjoy it. Okay? That's all I gotta say. Stop crying. Cause you're crying. Cause when he says other stuff, it's okay, but when he says some stuff you don't like, it's a problem. So, you know what I'm saying? Just keep it consistent, please.
Do a decent amount of damage to Sukuna, but immediately after firing a purple that he's not even comfortable with using, Yuta literally gets knocked. He falls straight on his face. You're telling me after all that, after becoming that monster, after going through that severe of a mentality shift, the only thing that you amounted to was a couple of punches on Sukuna, and yes damaging his face with purple.
It's Sukuna, and he's in a new body that he's never used before. Using a technique he's never used before against the strongest in the verse. Like, it makes sense. You're just not happy with the outcome. Like,
is very
it literally makes sense. This makes more sense than Sukuna being stronger than Gojo without the 10 shadows. Like, this makes more sense in verse than that. Because there's actually signs and evidence to show why Yuta failed. Okay? There's nothing that tells me, except people saying it, that tells me Sukuna is stronger than Gojo without the 10. Nothing. There's nothing. Except
but it just comes off as kind of weak compared to other mentality shifts we've seen in the series. This is Jujutsu Kaisen, and one of the things that makes this series so unique compared to other.
Like, whose shift was weaker? Was it Yuta's or him? Like, who did more to Sukuna? It was probably Yuta. He did nothing to Sukuna. He got no diffed. He got literally no diffed. Well, he didn't have an evolution. But this man literally waited for decades to get no diffed by Sukuna. No diffed. And you were madder about this than that. Maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. But I'm just saying. It just, like, not everything that happens, like, has to have the best outcome. Come on. Like, we gotta be realistic.
Their shonen is that they have been rewarding people for becoming monsters. If you can adapt to the quote-unquote monster or evil type of mindset, rewarded. You can really begin to focus on... He wasn't
rewarded. He was one-shot. He got destroyed. He actually got destroyed. Like, he got no diff. It was like 2 chapters. Like, the amount of hype Kashimo got was insane. And he got no diffed. Sukuna no diffing. Like, actually... He no diffing. I was so disappointed in how much no diff he got no diff. Like, it was disappointing to me. Like, that was one of the things that disappointed me so far was the amount of no diff. I think, look, this is it. I'm just gonna keep repeating what I say. At the end of the day, look, if you're not happy with the outcome, that's on you. Okay, don't be mad at Gege because you're not happy with it. It makes sense. When something else happens and you're okay with that and it makes sense, you just go with it. But when something you don't like happens and all the stuff is there, never been in the body before, can't look at all of Gojo's memories. Yeah, never been in a body of different height, never used the technique before. It's a very hard technique to use. That was shown in the fight where he failed the red. So you like to think that the purple would just be flawless. And to mention, I mean, that point of the fight is it's not even over yet. It's not even concluded. He's obviously something's gonna happen when he comes back or something. Because he fell over and he's trying to fight to do something. Like, he didn't die instantly. So obviously that part of it's not over. So he could still do something to win, right? But I don't think people are even thinking about that. They just, because he's not even dead. He's still in Gojo's body. He's still, now I don't know what's going to happen, but I figure, like, if he just dies right there and it's it, and we never get that's terrible. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. So he's trying to figure out what to do or whatever. He can still do something. Okay, so look, if you agree, comment, like, subscribe. If you disagree, comment, like, and subscribe. Look, my goal is 200 subscribers. I'm at 107. You see I'm in a new place. There's a bit of an echo in here. I hope it doesn't affect the video badly. Because I don't want to have to re-record this. And so just thank you again and enjoy your day.